everyone, thank you for watching avivTarot, and today we are going to do a pick a card reading. And today's pick a card reading is going to be, the topic is going to be, should I move on or should I stay? Okay, so I have some romance angel and angel answers oracle cards, which will give you the advice, and they're pretty straightforward hopefully. And then I have the lenormand cards and the tarot cards that will tell you if you were to stay, what will happen. If you were to move on, what will happen. Okay, so there's pile 1, 2, and 3. Make your pick. And the ones on the left hand side would be, because I have 2 piles, should just say what will happen if you stay, what will happen if you move on. And so on the left hand side, that would be if you move on, what will happen. And on the right hand side would be if you stayed, what will happen. Okay, so here's 1, 2, and 3. Make your pick, and I will see you at your pile. Okay, so people who chose pile number 1, we'll read the angel oracle cards later. So on the left hand side is if you were to move on, and then the right hand side if you were to stay, what will happen. Okay, so let's take a look at what will happen if you were to move on from this connection, or so whatever it is that you're looking for. If you were to move on, what will happen? So we got the 10 of Swords, and then the Page of Cups, and then over here we have the Children and the Letter. Okay, so if you were to move on, I would say that, first of all, it's going to feel really, really painful, okay, if you were to move on. It's like, even just thinking about it, it's like painful for you, right? To move on. It's not an easy thing to move on. However, if you do move on, we do have the 10 of Swords, okay? So it is the end of a cycle, and I feel like there will be a new beginning if you move on, definitely. And we got clarification with the Lenormand cards, which the Children over here on the right hand, the left hand side means new beginning. So new beginning over here, new beginning here. So like it's, you got your clarification here. It's kind of amazing, and it's really crazy how we have this the right hand side over here with the Letter, and then we got the Page of Cups. That means it's a new offer, and the Letter is also means like an offer. It's a written document or some sort of letter, or like an offer. So what it means is that if you were to move on, it's going to feel really, really painful at the beginning. However, you are going to be able to meet somebody who will give you a new offer, a new emotional support, or a new love coming in. So it's a new beginning. You're gonna feel like alive again. It's like reborn, transformation. So if you were to move on, this is how you were gonna feel. Okay, so it's going to be very painful for sure, but you will get a new offer from somebody, and we got that clarification over here with the Lenormand cards that you will get a new offer, an expressive new beginning. Okay, so now on the right hand side, if you were to stay in this connection, whether it's right now for me, I didn't really specify what kind of relationship it is. It could be like a love relationship, it could be with a family member, or it could be colleagues, or even work. Like if you're trying to leave work, should you stay or should you move on? Okay, so over here it's going to be pretty painful to leave wherever it is, but you're going to get a new offer, and you're going to feel like there's going to be a new beginning, definitely a new beginning coming to you if you were to move on. So here, if you were to stay, we got the 8 of Cups, and then 9 of Pentacles in reverse, and then for the Lenormand cards we got Tower and we got the Scythe. So if you were to stay, first of all, if you were to stay in this connection, I think you will be constantly thinking about leaving, okay? Because we have the 8 of Cups and this person is leaving. So you'll be constantly thinking about like, leaving this relationship because you're not going to be very happy. You're not going to feel very fulfilled. Okay, and over here we got the 9 of Pentacles, and 9 of Pentacles is about like self fulfillment and self-satisfied, like feeling satisfied, right? It's a little bit different from the 9 of Cups, which is the complete satisfaction of like with oneself, like emotionally. But this one is like your 9 of Pentacles, like this person feels like very self-sufficient. However, we got it reversed. Okay, so you're gonna feel unsatisfied as well, and like maybe even monetary wise, like you don't feel like investing anymore. You're constantly thinking about moving on, just because you're not happy. And over here we got the lenormand cards, where it kind of reiterate the same kind of things, which we have the scythe, which means it's to cut away something, although the scythe is pointing this way, so it's pointing to the future. So eventually I feel like you will want to cut this person out of your life, or this situation, because it could be a job, right, out of your life, because it is pointing this way. And the Tower means like loneliness, okay, solitude. So I feel like if you stay in this relationship, you're gonna feel this constant loneliness and solitude, and you're not gonna feel satisfied, and you're gonna keep thinking about moving on. And eventually I think you will make that cut, okay, out of this person or situation. You'll leave this whole thing because you're not feeling satisfied, and you don't feel like you love yourself enough, because like over here we have the 9 of Pentacles in reverse, and you're gonna keep thinking about leaving the situation. So if you were to stay, you're gonna constantly thinking about leaving because you don't feel happy, you feel lonely. So so we got the scythe, which means to cut away, and it will be like a really sudden decision, because the scythe is also means like it's something like surprising, like a sudden movement. Okay, and so I think you're going to be, if you were to stay in this relationship, you're gonna feel like you're gonna get to a point where you're just gonna explode all of a sudden, and because you're gonna be like, I can't take this anymore, and you're gonna move on. And that's what I feel with the scythe energy, because you're gonna be constantly thinking about it. You're gonna keep like suppressing this like discontent, and then until all of a sudden you're gonna just like, screw this, I'm gonna move on. Okay, so that is what happened if you were to stay in this connection. And over here we have, like, I got so many cards for pile number 1, like so many cards fell out like when I was shuffling, and I decided to take them all, and it was really crazy. If you look at this, yeah, because they fell out, so I actually saw what the cards say, and I was like, holy cow, they actually all say the same thing. That's why I decided to take all of them instead of putting them back, because look at this: choose a new direction, there's something better, and let go. Isn't that, it's telling you the same, exactly same thing. And it's funny because over here, if should you stay or should you go, no, should you go or should you stay, is telling you almost the same exact thing, that if you move on, there's going to be a new offer, a new beginning, even though it's going to be painful. And if you were to stay, you're going to constantly thinking about leaving until you can't take it anymore, because you're in this relationship or in this situation, you constantly feel like you're lonely, you're being isolated, okay, and discontent. And so like here, all 3 cards, can you believe it, when I was like shuffling, all of them say the same thing: let go, there's something better, and there's choose a new direction. And then for the romance angel, it's like the same thing: free yourself, it's time to take back control of your life. So it's telling you to move on as well. And then over here, honeymoon, I know this kind of like doesn't make sense with the rest of the cards, but I feel like this kind of reiterate, like if you were to move on, there will be this bliss, okay, this like happy period, because after you move on, and after you pass this period of like sorrow and pain and like depressed moment, okay, once this new beginning comes, you're gonna feel like a brand new person, and you're gonna have this honeymoon period, and maybe because also that you have a new offer coming in, and this new person is going to give you this honeymoon feeling, okay, you're gonna feel like blissful and happy with this new person or a new offer. Okay, so for pile number 1, should you move on or should you stay? I think the cards are telling you the same thing, that it's probably better for you to move on from the situation because something better is going to come along. However, if you choose to stay, and that is still up to you, but the thing is that most likely you're going to feel like wanting to move on. You're going to be constantly thinking about it. And I feel like if you're looking at this video right now, you're probably thinking about moving on. And so this kind of reiterate that you want to move on, even though you kind of want to stay because it's kind of painful to move on, right? But eventually you might have a sudden outburst and you're going to just cut everything and then just move on. So that is what I feel for pile number 1. And let me know if this resonated with you or not. And you can leave in the comment section below. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe to my channel. And I do have an Instagram account that I wasn't like kind of putting a lot of stuff on there, but I started to do more things on there as well. And I will do putting messages and stuff like that on IGTV. So don't forget to subscribe to the Instagram as well. So I will see you next time. Bye. Okay, so for pile number 2, this is your cards. We're gonna read these later. So for on the left hand side is if you were to move on, and on the right hand side if what happened if you were to stay in this connection or a situation. Okay, so here if you were to move on, so we got the 7 of cups in reverse, we got the 7 of pentacles upright, and then the Lenormand cards we got crossroad and heart. This is so interesting. Again, I'm just like amazed, okay? Because the same thing happened for pile number 1, where the Lenormand cards kind of reiterate the same kind of things with the with the tarot cards. So 7 of cups is all about options. As you can see, there's all these different options in the cups. I mean, it is reversed, so but it is about choices, right? And then over here the crossroad is all about choices as well. And so what I see over here is that if you were to move on, you probably will be thinking okay, let me back up a little bit. 7 of Pentacles over here is about patience, putting in the work, and then now you're waiting for it to blossom, right? And also I just wanted to point out the fact that you got 7 and 7, and 7 is a very spiritual number. And I know, like, if you actually look up like seeing 777 repeated, it means like the spirits are with you, and that they support you with whatever, and you are on the right direction. So the only thing is that this is 7 of Cups is reversed. So so whatever like things that you decide, I think the spirit will like or your like angel or whatever that you believe in is going to support you. However, we just want to point out that here it's about putting in the work. So like I feel like even though you're in this is about moving on, right? But it's like you put in the work already, so and you're waiting. This is about patience, right? About seeing what happens. And then over here we have the 7 of Cups in reverse. So it could either mean that you've already decided what you wanted, okay? So you've made up your mind, okay? That you want to just move on. or you're still kind of confused about, you're even more confused about what you wanted, right? And then we got the clarification with the lenormand cards, which is the heart and the crossroad, which means that this is like a loving choices, a loving choice, or like a special choice, like it's coming out of your heart. Okay, so I just, I know like the cards have this, like just looking at this, like I get the sense of feeling that you want to move on, but there's something that's holding you back. Okay, it's holding you back, and it feels like you still want to try a little harder, try to work on it a little bit more. And so like this, even though this pile is about what will happen if you move on, I feel like you might regret moving on. Because this is all, 7 is all about like kind of like staying put and see what happens. Like at least these 2 cards, right? Especially this one, because look at, this person is like contemplating. Like I feel like if you were to move on, you're gonna be constantly thinking about like, what if I stayed? What will happen if I were to stay? And just because also we got the heart over here, which is about love, like I don't feel like you're ready to move on yet. There's still love in this connection or in this situation that you're you're in. And even though you're deciding whether if it's a good choice to move on or not, and you're being presented with all these different choices, and also here the crossroad, I feel like you're still a little bit undecisive whether if you're going to move on or not. Like you're going to kind of keep swaying back and forth. So if you were to move on, you're going to be in this constant energy of like, did I make the right choice? Did I do it right? Is this the right choice? Should I go back? So like there is still that indecisiveness of like, did I make the right choice or not? So I feel like if you were to move on, you're not really moved on. Does that make sense? Yeah, I hope that made sense. So let's take a look at the right hand side and see what happens. Okay, so over here we have, so this is if you were to stay. So we have the 6 of Swords, we have the Knight of Wands, and then we have the Star for the lenormand cards, and then the Ship over here. Okay. See, even like on this side, so if you were to stay, what will happen? So 6 of Swords, if it's upright, is like moving away to a safe place, right? You're going away into a safer place. I think out of all of the Swords card, this is probably the only one that is like a really, like, that has a positive meaning. But this is coming out in reverse. So like it's, again, it reiterated that you don't want to move on. You don't want to go to a safe place. You want to kind of stay here. And even though it's dangerous, right? So if you were to move on, if you were to stay, it doesn't mean everything's going to be okay. There is going to be things that needs to be worked on. And if you were to stay, the Knight of Wands is all about passion. There is still passion in this relationship or situation. And this person is coming in like strongly, right? Can you see, like there's still passion, there's still, so if it's like a relationship and evolves another person, the other person's probably still wanting to put in more work into the relationship. And even though you might be kind of wishy-washy and you don't know if this is like a good thing, if you should move on or not, but I think the other person is willing, there's still passion in the other person, and they're willing to come towards you and putting a little bit more work, right? Because this is moving this way, so it's not moving away from it. It's coming to you, coming towards you, coming to the past, right? So if you were to move on, if you were to stay in this relationship or this situation, there's still things that you can do to make it work, I feel like, because it's not that it's lack of love or lack of hope or anything, because why I say that is because we got the star cards over here. Star is all about hope. It's all about wish fulfillment. So there's still hope. There's still passion in this relationship. And if you were to stay, the passion and the hope is still there. And there's still things that you can work on. And that's why over here we have the Six of Swords. Like, it's not moving away to a safe place, even though the situation right now or the relationship is like not in the best shape, not in the best way that you wanted it to be. But the card is saying like you want to stay in this thing, right? And then over here we have the ship. The ship is about foreign, traveling abroad, distant, like distance and stuff like that. So combined with this is that there is like this distant hope, distant wish, like this remote, like this tiny little hope in you that the situation will change, it will be better. And this is the wish fulfillment. So there is that wish, that something, that remote wish, like this tiny little wish that you wish that it will be good. And over here we have like traveling, and we have this boat over here too, which is very interesting. So maybe to reignite this passion, maybe you guys should travel, like take a trip or something, right? And see if you guys could work the situation out, or if you're in a relationship, any kind of relationship. It could be like friendship, it could be lover, okay, it could be family, whichever. And if it's a work situation, for example, maybe it's time to I know it's a little, if you watch this video right away, immediately after I upload this video, we are in this crisis of coronavirus, and everywhere you go it's like kind of locked down. But maybe you can drive around in your neighborhood and just like clear your head, or with this person, and try to clear your head and think about things, right? Or even just like go to I don't know, somewhere in the woods or something, I don't know. Just like a short trip to somewhere, and see if you can work things out, right? Camp in the car, I don't know, in the woods or something. So I feel like if you were to stay, there's probably still some hope and still some things that you can work on. And like if you were to move on over here, even like if you were to move on, there is always that question is like, what if I stay? So might as well stay and see what happens, because there's still that hope over here, right? And I feel like it's because of this hope that if you were to move on, you're going to be constantly thinking about this situation or this relationship, okay, this connection. So from this, it seems like it's better to stay, okay? But of course, if you want to move on, you still can. And I think 7 and 7, 7, 7, the spirit is, or your guides, or your angel, or whatever that you believe in, is going to support your decision. But I feel like you might regret it, and you might be constantly thinking about, what if I stayed? What if? Okay, and that might drive you crazy. So let's see what the cards say. And we got the reconsider card over here. And then we got the express your love and wait worth waiting for. So I feel like this reconsider card is for pile number 2 people. If you're considering leaving, right? Because over here it's all like about like, this is like moving away, moving forward, but it's reversed. And this is kind of like Wands is a really fast moving energy. And so it's like moving as well. So I feel like number 2 people, you really want to move on. You want to move on really bad because for whatever reason it is. And that is the reason why we got the card and telling you to reconsider, that maybe you should wait and see what happens. Wait and see what happens. There's still a chance that it might work out. And over here in the romance angel cards, it says worth waiting for. And so over here we have express your love. So go ahead and make the romantic gesture. So you see, I feel like that's what it is. Like maybe you need to do something to see if you can still reignite that fire in the relationship. And if it's like a work situation or some sort, maybe find that passion that you once loved, what you loved about this job, right? And try to see if that will reignite that passion again to wanting to stay in this place. And like to do a little bit more. I think there's still something more that you can do so that if you were to move on in the future, you will not be in this energy of like, what if I stayed? You, like to just so that you have no regret. Okay, so for pile number 2 people, I feel like it might be worth waiting for, meaning stay put and see what happens, just so that you don't, and try a little harder so that you don't have regrets when you do move on. Right now, maybe it's just because it's really tough and you want to move on. So you don't want to invest that energy in here. But maybe it's telling you that try to invest a little bit more. Try to see if the other person will invest a little bit more. So that's why it's telling you to reconsider if you decided to leave already. Okay. If you were deciding to stay put and it's telling you to reconsider, maybe if you're staying and you have this like kind of passive aggressive energy, I feel like that's what it is telling you to kind of reconsider that. Try to go from a loving place, okay? So that when you do move on again, that you don't have any regrets. Okay, so go from a loving place, express your love. Don't be like passive aggressive. Don't be, don't go from a fear, okay, of whatever it is. Do it out of love and putting a little bit more work and see what happens. That's what I see for pile number 2. But I mean, obviously, if you want to move on, you could absolutely do that, right? But if you are kind of like, if you're watching this video, maybe you're kind of thinking, is it a good thing or not? And just trying to help you make that decision, and you chose pile number 2. It's telling you to maybe stay put and reconsider leaving, and just wait a little longer and see what happens, and do more things that you can, and then see what happens. Okay, so let me know if this resonated with you, and don't forget to like, share, subscribe to my channel. And I do have an Instagram account that I do messages like video messages on there, so please subscribe there as well, and I will see you in the next video. Bye. Okay, so for pile number 3, this is what you have. These are the oracle cards. We'll see later. So for the left hand side, we have if you were to move on, and the right hand side if what will happen if you were to stay. Okay, so we'll take a look at if you were to move on, what will happen. We got the Two of Wands, and then we got the Six of Swords, and then we got the Rider, and then we have the Scythe. Okay, so if you were to move on, what I see is that if you were to move on, I feel like you might have moved on already, or in the process of like moving on. So like you're kind of half in, half out, because over here we have the Two of Wands, right? Because it's looking out in the distance, because you already put in the work. You're trying to see what will happen, right? I know there's that Three of the Wands. Three of Wands is having that energy, but Two of Wands also have that like contemplating, like should I move on or what? And so like once, if you were to move on, I think you have hope that something better is going to come along. Okay, and over here Six of Swords is also like moving away from like things that, like moving to a safer place, right? Moving away, like this person is bringing this other person to a safer place with the swords and stuff like that, like protective. So if you were to move on, I think that it is, see, the thing is like, it's very interesting. It's all like this in the process of doing that. See, this is like in the process of moving away, and this is like contemplating about moving on, but like hopeful, right? And then you have the globe in your hand, so like something is putting into the work already, and then you're trying to see what happens. And I feel like I feel like you're waiting for some kind of a sign, right? If you were to move on, you're hopeful that something better will come along. And we have the Rider over here, which is on the left hand side, it's about like news or a visitor, right? And then the Scythe is about something. It's usually telling. It's usually about like cutting away something, but it could also mean harvest, right? Harvesting something. It could also mean like it's a sudden change in something. So like there might be like a sudden news or like a sudden visitor coming, okay? Or maybe like in the vein of this like Two of Wands energy is that harvesting like a new thing coming in. So like manifesting something coming in. So if you were like to move on, I think you have a pretty calm energy. Like I feel a really calm energy if you were to move on. So like it's been something that you've been thinking for a very long time. And so if you were to move on, you're not going to feel that pain like the pile number one person, okay? It's like you've been waiting for it. Like you've been waiting for the right moment to move on, and you've already kind of healed yourself a little bit, and you're manifesting something to come along into your life. And that's what I feel like if you were to move on, you're going to be pretty calm about it, and you're going to feel pretty good about it too. And you're waiting for something like a good news or another person, okay? Because the Rider could also mean another person to come into your life. So you're like manifesting like new things, better things to come into your life. So if you were to move on for pile number 3, and if you were to stay, what will happen? So we have the Nine of Pentacles in reverse. We have the Hierophant, okay, and then over here we have the Woman, and then we have the Dog. Okay, so the Nine of Pentacles is about like self-sufficient, efficient, right? But we have it reversed. So I feel like if you were to stay, you feel like you're kind of, I feel like a little bit trapped, right? You feel like kind of codependent on this other person or this situation to make you feel happy, to make you feel efficient and needed and wanted. So if you were to stay, you're gonna feel a little bit of like this codependent energy feeling, a little discontent, I feel too. And maybe also you feel a little alone as well, because over here, this person is happy being alone, right? And having a reverse, like maybe you're gonna feel lonely, and probably not super happy about that. So like you will depend on the other person to make you feel happy. Like you don't want to be alone. And over here we have the Hierophant, which means like religion or organization, but it could also mean marriage, right? So if you were to stay, I think you will possibly be married to this person, okay? There is that possibility that this person will be proposing to you, or you might be engaged to this person, but the energy is that it might be a little bit more codependent energy, right? Because of this not being self-sufficient. The thing is, like, I don't feel like your partner is a bad person, because we do have the dog and the lady. And since this is a general reading, even though we got the woman card, we're gonna have this be genderless, okay? This is just you, or your person. For me, I feel like this card will represent your person a little bit more. So if it represents your person, so take how it resonated. It could be you, okay? So you or your person is a very loyal person, a very good friend. So like it's a friendship. I feel like if you were to stay, you have a good friendship with this person. And it's a good relationship at the same but at the same time, there's not a lot of passion. Okay? See, from this side, there's no passion over here. There's no wants energy. Even like the Hierophant. The Hierophant is about like wisdom, about like religion and, organizations and that kind of thing. And so like there is that collaboration because we have that two keys coming together. So like, the engagement. So like it's more like of a family vibe. But I don't feel like the love, the strong, passionate love being there. So like if you were to stay, I think the relationship is not bad, or the situation that you're in, if it's a work or whatever it is not a bad situation, but it's just like a little bit lack of energy, lack of passion. But again, it's like this calming energy too, if you were to stay. I feel like whoever's watching this, you or your person has this calm energy. Like you don't get mad, your emotion doesn't like fluctuate a lot. It's like we don't have any cups card either. Right? So like you guys are very logical people, very practical people, could be also very religious too. So it's just that whether you stay or you move on, I think you're gonna be fine either way, really. If you were to stay, it's just that it's lack of passion. It's very practical. It's like a friendship or a family type of vibe. And if you move on, I actually feel like if you move on, you might feel a little bit more passion, actually, because we have the Two of Wands and you're like kind of waiting for something to come along, like something, this person, right? Or it could be a news, or it could be a person, like it's that excitement or that news of like what will come to my life type of thing, that anticipation. the excitement or the feeling of like anticipation, which is kind of exciting. Whereas here is very slow, very just like very pragmatic, very practical, but it's very loyal, very like stable. Okay. For pile number 3, I actually really think like you're gonna be fine either way. You're gonna feel a little bit more excitement if you were to move on, but staying back isn't that bad either. It's just a little bit lack of passion. And I wonder if you, whoever's the viewer, you're watching this, you're watching this video because you're just like, oh, my relationship's kind of boring. Like, should I move on or should I stay? It's kind of that energy, like, oh, I feel bored. Like, should I try something new kind of thing? And it's not necessarily that you have anything bad in your relationship or at work or something like that, or a situation. So let's take a look at the card over here. So we got the no, and then we have the wedding, and then we have the attraction. Okay, so no, as in, I feel like whatever thing that you're thinking about. So if you were thinking, should I move on? That would be like a no, you should probably stay. Or if you're thinking about, should I stay? And maybe it's a no, that you might want to move on. So however this no resonate with you, okay? But also I feel like no, as in what I said before, either you move on or you stay. It's going to be fine either way, actually, because you're just not a person that is very controlling of like, you have to have the situation go a certain way that you wanted it to be. And you're kind of like a go with the flow type of person. And maybe your person is that way too, if it's about a relationship. And as for if it's a work situation, it's just kind of boring. It's kind of like lack excitement. Maybe you want to move on and try to see if you have a better chance, a more exciting job or something like that. But I think that no will be telling you that it might be really exciting at the beginning, but eventually it's probably going to be boring, and that kind of thing too. Over here is the wedding, which kind of reiterate with this this Hierophant card, the engagement. Okay. And then attraction. So I feel like maybe if you feel like your relationship or your situation is kind of stale, kind of boring, maybe try to ignite that passion again. Try to find that attraction. What attracted you to this person or to this job, to this situation at first? And try to see if that will bring more excitement to the work. But there is also that possibility that you're going to be attracted to something more exciting. And that's what's going to make you move on. So I feel like this attraction card could go either way. And since this is a general reading, I'm not quite sure which way you're swinging in, because we also have the no card, which means that either way, I think you're going to be fine. And if you were to stay, I feel like you will be engaged if it's about a relationship. And but if it's about a situation like a work or job kind of thing, it could be that you're going to probably stay there for a very long time if you decided to stay there instead of moving on right now. You're probably going to be there for a long time until you retire, possibly, right? So that's a possibility over here. Do I see anything for pile number 3? Nope, that's pretty much it. So if you were to move on, it might be more exciting. There's going to be like kind of like a sudden like news or sudden person coming into your life, but you are moving away to something that might be more exciting for you. But if you were to stay, you might be engaged to this person. You're going to feel a little dissatisfied. You're going to feel a little bit dependent on this person to make you happy, but this person is not a bad person, and you're not a bad person if this is you. That you guys are loyal and honest to each other, and you're going to be there for each other. So it's a very family stable type of vibe. If it's about a relationship, if it's about a situation, it's just a very stable job, and you really dependent on this job to make you money, but not necessarily happiness. Okay, but it is a stable job for you if it's a situation or job related. If you're looking for that. And yeah, that's all I see for pile number 3. Let me know if this resonated with you or not, and leave it in the comment section below. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe to my channel. And I do have an Instagram account where I have been doing a little bit more readings, like video readings on there. It's not a pick a card, but it's like messages, okay, with spreads and stuff like that. So don't forget to maybe subscribe to my Instagram account as well. So I will see you in the next video. Bye.